With Spawn. You know what I'm talking about? Ladies and gentlemen, Todd McFarlane.
Test. Is my mic? Okay, before we get going, we'll do a selfie with all of you guys. Screw Bradley Cooper. We're going to do better than that. Stan's just finishing eating, so he said, Todd, go warm him up. So he's gonna make it here. He moves a little bit slow. So I'll just tell you some silly stories, do some goofy stuff, and then when Stan gets here, we'll hand it over to the guy, and I'll do an interview with him. Let me just tell you my introduction to Stan Lee. I'm 16 years old. I started collecting at about 15, 16, and so I become a fanatic. I start collecting everything that's on the marketplace. I'm also an athlete. I played Pac-10 baseball, right? I wanted to be center field for somebody, and I just wasn't good enough. But I ended up going down to Florida on a baseball tryout, tournament, whatever, and we did our baseball stuff, and then we had to go to the hotel, and we had to catch a plane back, I'm Canadian, back up to Canada that night. And we go back to the hotel, and all of a sudden, for some of you older people out there, they used to... which is surprising when I look here. They used to hold these conventions in hotels, small little Holiday Inns, right? And they put up a little sign saying "Come Convention" down in that room. So it's true, some of you old folks, right? They used to be small. So I'm at this Holiday Inn and I'm walking, and all of a sudden I see the sign that says Comic Convention. And I go, wow, what's the chances on my last day here in Florida I get to go to a convention, a comic book convention? It's the first one I ever went to. And they don't have a lot up in Canada at that point. I go in there, I meet a bunch of people, and then one of the booths that was table, maybe it was about half the size, that was sitting just outside, there's a guy there, Stan Lee. First time I met him. I'm 16 years old at that point. I stand off to the side for about an hour, and I just listen to him with his enthusiasm, and then, like any geeky fan, I basically asked the question that all of you guys would have asked. Is it okay if I sit here for the rest of the day next to you? And he went, yeah, sure, I don't care. So literally, ladies and gentlemen, he was here, his line was coming, and I was here. People kept asking who I was, and he'd be like, I don't know. And for the whole day, I sat there as a 16-year-old just listening to all the questions that he got peppered with, and all the answers he gave. And as a guy that was, in a couple years, going to start sending out my samples, I learned more in those 2 or 3 hours that I just sat by his side. And I remember some of the answers. I actually started applying some of those answers onto my artwork, so that fast forward, I started sending off my samples with some of those answers that I heard in my head as a 16-year-old. I get a job, fast forward a little bit more, I'm doing Spider-Man, fast forward a little bit more, I get to meet Stan, and we've been fast friends ever since, which is why a lot of times he asks me to get up on stage here and help with the conversation, because he is very good, ladies and gentlemen, at making me understand that I am the Robin in the Batman and Robin partnership. He will always flex the symbol, and you'll see it a couple times here. I'm going to give a secret away because he's gonna come here, and he likes to make you guys feel good. He likes to make himself feel good. And then he doesn't really care much about me, and so we'll have a little bit of fun with that. Stan also, it was this interesting thing that we used to talk about when I was in my heyday doing Spider-Man, that we were talking about the movie coming up, and now we're going to go back for all you people who've obviously seen, let's instead of raising your hand who's seen the Spider-Man movie, let's ask the opposite. Who in this room has not seen a Spider-Man movie? Oh, Helen Keller on the back there, I see her. All right, so everybody's seen it. So what was happening was, and I'm going back now 25 years now, maybe. I don't know if you guys know, but the franchise was in legal turmoil. What had happened was somebody owned the rights, and then about 6 other companies said that they owned the rights, and it was just a headache. And they couldn't get a Spider-Man movie off the ground for about a decade, right? for about a decade, they were fighting globally. 6 companies globally, because just when they tied all the rights up in the US, somebody then on the other side of the world said, no, I have the rights to Spider-Man. You can't make that movie. And the only reason I bring that up, it is one of the few times, matter of fact, maybe the only time, that I can say thank you to the lawyers. Because if they had made, no, here's why I say that. Because if they had made that movie back then, the technology wasn't there. It would have been nearly as cool back then. Because they can't do, and that would have been like 88 to 92 era. They couldn't have made the movies that they made today. So that they fought legally for 15 years and dragged it into the years 2000 and more. That movie now can look cool. So for the lawyers out there, thank you, because it's going to be the only time I'm going to thank you for getting into a big argument, because it made the Spider-Man movie much better. Now, for me, in my Spider-Man days, here's how it sort of went, ladies and gentlemen. I got the job of Spider-Man. Spider-Man, and it may seem sort of odd, was not even a top 10 selling book at that point at Marvel. The sales had been plummeting. And they came in, and it was a good time to be there, right? I'm going to give you guys a word of advice. If you're ever going to take over a job, make sure you take over the job of the guy who just did a horrible version of it, right? You look good. You look good. Never follow Jim Lee or Frank Miller or any of those guys. Never follow the big shots, right? Always follow the small shots, because you always look better. I always say, you want to look smart, hang around dumb people or 5-year-olds, right? You don't always look like a junior. You hang around 5-year-olds, you go with 4 times 4 is 16. Come on. So I was on the book, and the luck that I had was that they said, the book is not selling, do something. So this is weird. If I had actually come on the book at a time that the book was selling, they wouldn't have said that. They would have basically said, just keep doing what was successful, the guys before you. And so they came there, and they said, do whatever you want to do. I had the fortune to be able to do it for a couple of years. And I was able to make a decent career. And with that, let's talk about the man who actually co-created Spider-Man. There's nobody in this room who has not been touched by the gentleman I'm going to bring up here real quick, so we won't belabor the point. He is, ladies and gentlemen, truly, he's a living legend. You can't say that about too many people. This man is a living legend. Everybody in this room is here for a reason, because somewhere along the line, this man's creation has touched your life. And there's not a creative person that's in that room down below who also hasn't touched him. He's co-created Iron Man, Thor, Fantastic Four, a bunch of the guys in the Avengers, Spidey. I'm going to miss the Hulk. I'm going to miss them all, right? So we're going to bring them out. But to you guys out there, especially the young kids, he's that old dude that's in all those those superhero movies, Mr. Stan Lee.
Just be quiet. I thought I'd let you listen to McFarlane for a while, because then you'll appreciate me when I come. And forgive me, I know it must have been an ordeal for you, but at least now we're on the right track. Why are you there and I'm here? Why aren't we together?
I'm moving this back so these people don't have to look at the corner of the table. Here, come sit down, we'll have a chat.
Are you going to sit there?
We'll be like between two firms. Between two firms, sit down.
I need the protection of a table in front of me. We're too vulnerable this way. All right, what the hell?
Okay, so let's ask the first obvious question that they're all begging to ask you right now, Sam. What's it like being you?
It's wonderful. I can't describe it. The glory, the grandeur. What the hell are you talking about?
I don't know if you guys know, Stan was in San Francisco yesterday, throwing out the first pitch at the Giants ball.
The San Francisco Giants.
Actor Michael Rooker from Walking Dead, who's down here, and Michael's been sitting down in the green room making excuses why he couldn't catch Stan's fastball. So,
I begged Michael to be here instead of what's his name, but Michael obviously had more important things to do. I got stuck with, I'll remember your name sooner or later. What is it you do again?
I just copied some of the crap you did.
This guy did the best-selling Spider-Man book of all time years ago. I've talked to him for 5 years.
All right, so look at everybody, whether you're old or you're young, at some point you got to go out into the world trying to get a job, right? I mean, arguably one of the most difficult things we have to do. I've written before how I got rejected hundreds of times. So see if you can just tell people how you got your introduction into the business and how tough of a road it was and how many doors you got closed on your face before they finally
Well,
said
it was easy for me. I started out as a lowly assistant. People realized how brilliant I was, and before you knew it, I was the editor and art director. See, he's got to learn how to cut a story short. I heard him before going on and on and on with his history, and I heard the sound of snoring in the audience. And I said, I've got to come up here and rescue you, because I care for you people. By the way, let me take the pain and the injury out of what I just said. Let me say something nice. I have something for you that you don't expect. Now, this is going to be a very touching moment. You're in for a real event that you're going to see right now. Nobody ever gives this man anything because nobody likes him, but I have something for you. Max. I forgot his name. Max, would you please bring the something out? Stand up. Take the mic. Look what I got for him. A Spider-Man guitar.
signed by Stan Lee.
He is so awed, he is so overwhelmed by gratitude. What's he doing?
No.
Aren't you going to play it for us? All right. Well, I thought it would really cause more of a stir than that. I mean, if that's how emotional you're going to get, I'm going to take the damn thing back.
All right, let's go back to the early 60s.
I mean, that's it with the guitar. We planned it, we rehearsed it for hours, that we'd give him the guitar and he would melt in a sea of emotion and gratitude. Oh boy, this is why I have no use for the man.
You can see he's a writer. He likes to embellish, ladies and gentlemen. So let's go back to the 60s now. 60s, there's, again, for, I don't know how old and how much people read history, comic books sort of are in their zenith in the 30s and the 40s. And then in the 50s, we get in trouble with comic books, right? We have the Congress has their hearings. Dr. Wortham comes in, says the comic books are distorting the mind.
He says to me, right, but he doesn't wait for an answer. He keeps going on and on. You let this man up on stage, you give him a microphone. I could leave and have lunch and listen to me. He wouldn't know I was gone. Go ahead. To rescue them for you, and I still can't shut them up. I mean, to rescue them from you.
So let's see if we can answer at least one question before these good people have to go here. So, in the 60s...
And they don't have to go, they're going because you won't stop talking. I know, I am adorable.
All right, let's see if we can get one question answered. In the 60s, but again, they have a...
That's your question. They're supposed to answer.
No, we're going to get to that.
Really?
We're going to get to that. We're going to get to your questions in a bit. But here's the thing. I mean, look, they all know you from your Marvel work, and for all intents and purposes, it's the 60s character. So talk to us about Congress coming out, having all literally having to reinvent Marvel. How did you guys go about reinventing Marvel and ultimately creating all these characters?
I don't know what he's talking about. Congress wanted to do something, and I had to reinvent Marvel.
No, right. So Marvel comes along, right? So Marvel, could you
Well, let me tell you something about Marvel, reinventing it. I mean, you've gotten used to his dull stories, now I'll tell you a good one. We changed our name to Marvel when our superheroes started selling well. We were called Atlas Comics. And when we had the Fantastic Four and then the X-Men and Spider-Man and so forth, I said, I'm going to change the name of the company and give it some excitement. So I called it Marvel, because I love advertising. And with a name like Marvel, you can come up with phrases like, make mine Marvel, welcome to the Marvel Age of Comics, you know, stuff like that. Now, our competition was then called National Comics. They always followed whatever I did. So they said, in their brilliance, hey, Stan Lee changed the name of his company, let's change our name. Now here's the part that's going to get you. We came up with the name Marvel, which is so great to use in ads and so forth. What did they come up with? DC. Welcome to the DC Age of Comics. Make mine DC. I mean, it was so easy for us to do better than them. All those years. I love DC. All right, now tell one of your dull stories.
So now you've got Marvel, and now you've got to come up with basically a band of new characters. So walk us through the process of what it was like, because it seemed like you were throwing out a lot of ideas to those creative guys, the artists at that point, that were having to take all your crazy ideas. And I mean, within the span, all those characters I just mentioned earlier came out in a span of about 3 years. So why was that so prolific at that point?
Well, he started to say, what was it like? And I'll show you why I'm such a good guest up on a platform like this. It was nice. I can't answer that question. You know, when you're a genius, you can't explain what it is. I gotta tell you the funny thing.
It looks like Albert Einstein too, right?
The funny thing is, here I am bragging. This man did our best-selling comic. He's a writer, he's an artist, he has a zillion-dollar toy business, he makes toys. He is so goddamn successful that I hate him. And that's why I'm talking. I'm so jealous of him. But aside from that, I like him, if I can only remember his name. What was the question?
How old are you?
91.
91 years old!
Everybody thinks I'm only 89. A youthful 89.
Look, when I was younger going to conventions, I would stand from a distance watching Stan. I got to tell you guys, there were about 3 models that I looked at to go, if I ever get on the other side of that table, I'm going to act like that person, right? And one of them was Stan, because if any of you guys had the good fortune to be in his line or whatever else, he has figured out, and if you guys ever get there, I don't care if it's in comic books or some other field, you make the people who put money in your pockets feel as good about themselves as possible in that short period of time that we have with you. I gotta tell you, a lot of celebrities don't understand that concept, so I'd like to applaud you for being so gracious to the fans for decades and decades and decades. Kid just sit by his side all day long and pepper him with questions. I mean, that's what he did for me. And he would have done the same for you if you'd been in that exact same spot. So, hey, let's talk about your cameos. All the ones that you've
Hold
done.
it. Cameos?
Starring roles.
Those happen to be roles in a movie which are condensed because the stars of the movies are jealous and don't want me to have too much time.
Sort of like Academy Award Best Supporting Actor, right? A new category, right? A new category. So
now let me tell you why those cameos are so important. Everybody says, Why do they give Mr. No Talent all those cameos? Here's the reason. Somebody goes to the movies to see a Marvel movie. Let's take the new X-Men movie. You go there, you sit through the whole movie, and suddenly you say, I didn't see Stan's cameo. Because I didn't do one. I was out of town when they did it, but that's unimportant. So they say, I didn't see Stan's cameo. Well, nobody is going to miss my cameo. They figure maybe I blinked my eye, or I reached down for some popcorn, I missed it. So what do? They go to the box office, they buy another ticket. They miss it. So half of the money that Marvel makes from those movies is because of my cameos. That's a little trade secret that nobody else knows. Now,
All right, and what's your next starring role?
my next starring role will be in the Guardians of the Galaxy. And I did it, I can't tell you what it is, but I have absolutely no idea what that cameo has to do with the movie. You see, I never know what it'll be. The director calls me and says, we want to shoot your cameo. Can you come in on such a date and time? And I go to wardrobe and I go to makeup. If you can imagine any makeup improving me. I shoot the scene and I say goodbye to everybody and go home. I don't know a damn thing about the movie, but I know about my scene. And I don't know what my scene has to do with the Guardians of the Galaxy, so I'll be as eager as you to find out. Now, if that doesn't bring you into the theater, then I'm a lousy salesman.
Plus, I heard the cameo on it is twice as long as most of your others, so it'll be 4 seconds, right? All right. It looks, is this our lineup of questions here?
Wait, but you're going to have to do me a favor.
Yes.
Again, even though I look so wonderful, I don't hear as well as I used to. I probably won't understand the question. Would you repeat it to me, but not through the mic? Because when you're talking into the mic, I don't understand what you're saying, because it muffles your voice for me, for my particular type.
All right, so I will seductively reword it into your ear.
I don't know what that is.
The other time, I'll take a look. All right. So where are we going to start the questions in? Up over here?
He loves the feeling of power of pointing to people.
We'll get the questions, I'll bring it back to Stan. Yes, sir.
So, my question's for Stan.
Yes, thanks for Stan.
Like him, I like your cameos, and I wanted to know which one is your favorite.
Which cameo is my favorite?
Yes.
Don't think I was lying to you just because I heard that. That man speaks very clearly. I think the one I did in Captain America recently where I say I'm so fired. That was real acting, because everybody knows I would never do anything to get myself fired. I'm very talented.
Thank you.
All right, drop over this side. Yes, ma'am.
What's your favorite school subject?
My favorite one?
School subject.
Gee, really, none of them. I hated school. It was composition. I like to write composition. Nobody ever read them, but I wrote them. And that was it. I was no good at mathematics. History, I have no memory. I couldn't remember. Even 1492, it took me about 10 years to remember when Columbus discovered America. And the name of his 3 ships, I still don't know. And I wasn't good at most things. But we sang songs. Every week they had a glee club at the school. And they had what they called a listener's row. If you couldn't carry a tune, you had to sit in the listener's row and you had to keep your mouth shut. I was in the listener's row for all the time I was in school. If I even opened my mouth to sing a note, I would throw the whole class off key. I remember that, so that was not my favorite. I didn't have any favorite subjects, I don't think. I hated school. I shouldn't say that to all you young people. You young people there, I loved school. I spent all my time studying and learning. And I was going to say Googling, but they didn't have that then. Oh, you are so lucky they have Google. You don't have to read books. You don't have to study. You just Google it, and there it is. So I went to school now.
Interesting thing. I remember listening to Stan when I was younger and talk, and he said he doesn't remember things, right? And I don't know if this is true, but I remember you saying it on stage one day. It's the reason why there's so many characters that have the same first name and last name with the same initials, right? Sue Storm, Reed Richard, right? Bruce Banner. The reason was
If I remembered one name, I knew the other name began with the same initials, so it made it easy. I don't have a good memory. What the hell is this?
Right. Right, but to complicate it more, why was his name Robert Bruce Banner? Because he forgot, and he forgot he gave him two names, so he just added both the names and it became Robert Bruce Banner, right?
You're right. I remember getting fan mail from readers. They said, don't you know the names of your own characters? I didn't know quite how to respond.
All right, back over here.
Hello, first of all, you look marvelous today.
I'm sorry, I heard the word marvel. What was that?
Marvelous!
She said you're a stud boy.
Oh, I admire you're a great judge of character. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. My question is, we all think that you're superheroes and that you are our superhero. Who was like your role model and your superhero when you were growing up?
Your voice is beautiful, but it's on a high pitch that I can't get.
Who was your role model?
Just tell me. Oh. Every writer who wrote a book that I enjoyed. I loved reading books. And anything by Edgar Rice Burroughs, or who wrote Sherlock Holmes? Forgot that me with my memory. And the guy who wrote about the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I don't remember their names, but all these science fiction writers, and I loved John Dickens. I even loved Shakespeare. I couldn't understand really what most of Shakespeare was about when I was a kid, but I loved all that what-ho, Horatio kind of dialogue. And I loved reading, and every author, Mark Twain, all of them. The guy who wrote The Raven with 3 names, what's his name? Edgar Allan Poe, did I mention him? And I would read these guys and I'd say, how can they do it? Do you remember Edgar Allan Poe's poem? Hear the sledges with the bells, silver bells, what a world of monody, the melody foretells. Where did he get a word like monody? Who knows a word like that? And it goes on and on. These guys were geniuses. I think that's when I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to be a genius, but I only turned out to be a writer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Question over here.
We're over here in this corner.
Mark Twain was another one.
Yes, sir.
Hello and good afternoon. My name is Leo. I want to say thank you for coming to Phoenix Comicon, Stan.
You're welcome.
I missed you the last time you were in town, and that made me sad. But now I'm glad. So,
Yeah, I am too.
so my
Glad
question.
I'm anywhere.
So my question is, there's been many directors that have taken on the Marvel movies, including Bryan Singer, Sam Raimi, and others. Is there a...
Out loud, I was with them all day yesterday. What did I do wrong to be punished?
How are you guys doing? I said, how are you?
Oh, I'm magnificent. You know that.
Look at all these people out here.
They're all here for McFarlane.
That's what I
You
heard.
should have heard when I came. Oh, Christ, it's Lee. They were having such a good time listening to Todd.
Hey,
Now they'll have a good time with you. I'm going to sit down and rest for one.
I'm thinking we should have this guy do a Spawn.
Now you and Todd talk for a
Hey,
while.
do Spawn. Spawn. Yes. Are you going to do that toy, that Merle toy?
Who's going to be in Guardians of the Galaxy? Who do we know in that movie?
Guardians of the Galaxy. You know, you mean the one that comes out